Sherry. Beyond thousands of the mountains is the hometown of the heart, Tibet. That's one of my favorite sentences from the book. Several months ago, I saw a movie called Path of the Soul. It was a true record of 2,000 kilometers pilgrimage of Tibetan people. The director showed us the real life and environment in Tibet without any embellishment. I was deeply impressed by the incredible views and its citizens' kindness, piety, and simplicity. As I went home, I immediately told my mom about my feelings and interests in Tibet. A few weeks later, one of my favorite authors, who has lived in Tibet for 7 years, published a new book about the Tibet, and I went to her autograph signing session. She told me an unforgettable story. Once, she was disappointed and worried towards life. She went to the Zhang monastery. As she knelt and wept in front of the temple, no one came to comfort her or laughed at her. This is not to say how people are indifferent in Tibet. On the contrary, what we admire is their state of being neither sorrow nor delighted. They are always very calm towards life, she said with a sweet smile. What kind of mental strength is that? I kept asking myself, how can people be so pure, kind, devoted? Compared to people who live in other provinces in China, they are economically poor. Natural resources and economic opportunities are limited in high-altitude mountainous areas. However, Tibetan people were always satisfied and peaceful with what they have. They are willing to provide food, water, and even accommodation to passengers on the road. They treated them heartily. Look around us. We live in a megacity or so-called metropolis. We can have delicious food at our doorsteps, using the fastest mobile phone in the world, and even enjoying the best shows and films from different continents. However, does any of us dare to provide accommodation to strangers? Does any of us willingly provide food and water to passengers on the road? If not, so what's the problem? Are we too busy to pursue social and economic success to lose our pure minds? Do we need to balance different aspects in life to find our beautiful minds back again? There's a lot of questions that's worth our efforts to find the answer for. I was always wondering if Tibetan people's beautiful minds came from their belief in Buddhism. They kept toiling and working quietly for a year to reach their holy land. They believed that life is the practice of Buddhism. This reminds me of Steve Jobs, the previous legend of Apple Company, who's also a practicer of Buddhism. Steven is a multi-billionaire. However, he lives a very simple life, always driving cheap Honda and simply dressed in t-shirts and jeans. On the other hand, he is focused on and devoted to the best mobile phone design in the world. Without him, we won't have products such as MacBooks, iPads, or iPhones. A kind of beautiful mind helps him find his own important aspects in life and finally reach his own success. We don't need to live in Tibet to find the spirit of Buddhism. We live in a very colorful world with different temptations, good or evil. If we are not able to differentiate those temptations, we will never find our beautiful minds. If so, we will never reach our ideas or finally bring any social values. Time and human resources are limited resources that need to be rightly allocated. A few weeks ago, my mom went to Tibet, and I saw the photos she sent back. People who were doing pilgrimages on the road were all seriously bending over their knees, including pregnant women and children. The sky was low, just like the clouds are right above your head. And even Tibetan mastiffs, which is known as one of the most dangerous animals in the world, are kind to tourists. I was immersed in those kind of images. How can people be so devoted and peaceful in such a noisy world? I started to consider about my own life. I live in a very comfortable environment, but my heart is always restless. I sometimes argue with my parents and classmates over some trivial matters. However, compare those problems to the poverty in Tibet. Those are all a piece of cake. I suddenly realized that I need to be more friendly and calm, just like what Tibetan people do. I've become more and more interested and curious about Tibet. I wish that someday I can go there and find my beautiful minds on my own. Most importantly, I wish that everyone could find their own beautiful minds through their own efforts and discoveries. Thank you.